So even in the recent report by Colliers India, it showed us that there's been a steady rise in the student housing.
The type of problems that we face today in PropTech are like it's a market which is not that organized.
I'm sure you must have heard this, and I've asked with few PropTech founders also. When it comes to unicorns, right, we have very few, like you can count them in fingertips in PropTech, counting which are the unicorns.
Right.
And when you compare be e-commerce business and other industries where the unicorns are too many, be education or fintech. So what is happening with the PropTech landscape? Why are we not having too many unicorns coming in? I know it's a very naive question, but I want to understand from you, because you have seen the journey from 2015. You must have seen how the PropTech landscape has changed over the time, how the VCs are coming in. So why do you think we still don't have too many unicorns from this particular landscape?
In terms of it's a multi-body problem, right? In PropTech, you have too many variables. Okay, like suppose we say rental. Rental means like your agreement has to be done, your KYC has to be done, you have to talk to owner has to approve. So there are too many variables, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine much other ecosystem, like we're talking about e-commerce or fintech. The multi-body reduces drastically in those ecosystems. Okay, so the type of problems that we face today in PropTech are like it's a market which is not that organized, and definitely it's not that matured. So that maturity and that organization level, that has to be clean, that has to be transparent, policies have to be very adaptable, clear. So those have not yet happened. There are still a lot of specific, like each state has their own policies, right? And each state has their own kind of agreement format, everything. Okay.
True.
So that has not been standardized and not been transparent yet to a much level, which has not simplified the whole thing. So why it is important? Because the more the complex things, the slower is the growth.
True.
So the more it becomes simpler over time, what I expect over the next 3-4 years, it becomes much simpler. You will see a huge rate of growth that will come to this PropTech side of the world. And that will actually fuel directly investments, and we'll see unicorns happen.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I think this sector is quite early toward if compared to the other sectors. And with time, we are evolving faster. And definitely, I see that over 3-4 years, we'll have some sizable large companies here, which will actually go into unicorns.
So as you quoted, the market is still not organized, right?
Correct.
There's still standardization needs to happen, still enabling of the tech throughout the be land records or be all these data needs to be there. I completely agree with that. But this is the reason why even a venture capitalist will shy away, right? Because they know it's not organized. They rather bet their money in B2B, like how I said, the companies like Off Business, Infra Market, who are then into procurement, because it's more on the online platform where you're procuring the materials and providing, and it's very easy. It's a mature market. It's quite tech driven. So don't you think in the market which you're talking about and targeting on, of course, it's going to take time. We will be there. But in that case, the VC might shy away, right?
Yeah. See, it depends what kind of VC. Like if you're looking for a VC which is like 3-year outcome or 2-year outcome, you're looking for a series A, B VCs. Definitely, I agree to that will be a challenge. But anyone who is looking at a larger P side, right? We are talking about who have a 6 to 5, 8 years, 7 years kind of vision. Those they understand that this is a market which has the potential, and definitely there will be large companies which will come and be created here, which will be substantially big, and they will be, because of the quite healthy unit economy. What we see that they will all be profitable. So that opportunity will lure, and actually is luring a lot of larger VCs into this market. So what I see is definitely the challenges that you have told is short term, and we should be able to have much value-added companies which will happen, and good amount of VCs will come in the next 3 to 4 years of time.
And what is your current perspective on the current PropTech landscape in India? Do you think there are few companies which you could want to quote that you look into are going to be a major players in this particular market? And where do you feel the PropTech landscape needs to evolve. There are certain need gaps I'm sure you must have noticed where we would be needing such companies to coming in. What is your view on that?
Apart, so I am personally biased against in favor of rentals. So definitely, I see that is the larger piece because this will become much and much easier for people to move in, and we are looking at different kind of accommodations now, where people will be having completely they can like move across cities, across locations very easily without doing anything. So that is going to evolve. The way India lives actually is going to change, but in terms of other aspect is the capital side of the real estate that will change drastically. What I see with fractional ownership coming in, and we are talking about uh, everyone like REITs coming in more frequently, where the opportunity can be exposed to any small size investor who can participate in the real estate growth of India. So that is an exclusion that is happening now, where smaller investors are not able to come into the picture. So that will change over time. So any startups around fractional ownership, around REIT, anything around where you capitalize the rental or the real estate instruments. So that's having a good that will have a good appetite in the future. So that I foresee like it's going to take up the market.
Great, you brought that in because I want to understand in the context of rental yield growth, right?
Correct.
Traditionally, we have seen pre-lease asset of commercial to be favored more.
Right.
But because of the rise of co-living, there's another potential option when it comes to pre-leased asset in residential. So I'm curious to know if I want to do the comparison between the commercial pre-lease asset and the residential pre-lease asset. Even I'm sure our viewers would want to understand. Could you tell us what is the major difference between both and which one has the better rental yield growth and potential?
Yeah. So commercial, when we are talking about like pure office grade A office spaces, which will go into as a yield plus an like appreciation value that will follow that. So those kind of properties are definitely a clear section of like 8 to 10% rate of where you get a rental yield of 8 to 10%, and then there is appreciation which is very similar. Co-living, where it comes, where the size of the property may not be as high as required to, as large as required to a co-working or a office grade asset kind of thing. So where co-living can come in, it can come in like as small as like in a 6,000 square feet or 4,000 square feet, or even like 3,000 square feet land, right? So we are talking about that kind of land where you can build like 30 rooms, 40 rooms, and you can start with a smaller size. So that initial moat that is required for the commercial is not required in the co-living side. So that opens up the doors to a lot of mid-scale investors, mid-scale landowners, HNIs to start this and come and own that. Compared to the yield wise, both are very similar because resi yield will be like 2.5 to 3%, whereas a co-living asset class as an asset class, its yields are around 8 to 10%. Very, very similar to commercial. So they're at par. Appreciation are actually on par. You can say that okay, both are located in the prime locality of a city, both will grow at a similar level because both are related to the land rates eventually, right? But what I like more about the co-living as an asset class is that any person at a lower size can come in. So that entry barrier is substantially lower compared to the co-living, compared to the commercial offices. And that we have seen. So what we have observed is like a lot of today the owners that have given us supply actually are not full time into this before. So for them it's just an investment that they've done. And that is growing substantially. So we are getting a supply. We are going like a huge amount of leads that we get every time, and that has kept on increasing very fast. And where we have observed there's a pattern that we have seen that this asset class is growing very fast. Because the land side is smaller, they cannot give for office. Let's build a co-living. Rather than the other option was what? The other option was resi. So resi is again you are walking out 2.5-3% yield. So that has made a huge impact for the co-living asset class.
So even in the recent report by Colliers India, it showed us that there's been a steady rise in the student housing. post-pandemic.
Right.
So what do you think would be the attributes to its growth? And in future, where do we see student housing going, especially in the Indian market?
So, student living typically, there are multiple pockets in top 7 to 8 cities, which are majorly student focused, and where we see that again, like very similar to the co-living trends, student living has become a norm now. So,
Yeah,
a lot of people, even I have seen like in larger cities, parents are staying in the same city, but kids are preferring hostels.
true.
One of the reasons is like long time of travel, like people commuting has definitely increased.
Mm.
And second thing is like people want to also have a more community or social experience, where they
Yeah.
want their parents want the kids to have more social experience also.
Mm.
Those are trends. We have seen significant growths.
Mm.
And typically in markets, we are the market leader in pre-student category, like which we talk about in Kota,
Yeah.
like coaching markets. So in Kota, we have seen like huge growth in demand over the years, where a lot of students come there for preparation, and these are like not even they're not even graduates. So it's like students in 11th and 12th class, who are like 15, 16-year kids. So they are also coming and adapting to this new style of student living. As a offering, what I see that student living is going to be growing at a very fast scale, and it is going to grow not only in specific student specific cities like Pune, Kota, and all, but also in major large mega cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, and Delhi. They will also see a lot of growth in student living.
So 2024 being in the around the corner. So based on you, according to you, the what would be the major trends that you will see? You have quoted about student housing. When it comes to co-living, when it comes to the rental market, what particular trends are you looking forward to?
So the rental markets have seen a very high tailwind, because post COVID we saw like lot of companies now asking people to come back.
Yeah.
So before it was one day, people used to. So what had happened interestingly is, so we were, because of our data is very insightful. Okay, so and we are the first hand. COVID, people are going back. We were the first to know because so many requests came the very first day. And we also, so when you look at our data, like a lot of interesting facts come out. And one of the things that we were surprised to see was because of the price of rental changes with distance. Okay, we see it either going up or going down as we travel from one location to other location.
Yeah.
Right. So because once people started coming from the tier 3, tier 4 cities and towns back to the metros post COVID, they observed that they have to come like one day office, max. Or sometimes people say that you have to be present in the city, you don't have to come to office.
True.
Right. So people started taking like 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers away from offices, because they thought like I have to commute once. And people assume that that's going to be trained for ever.
Yeah.
So a lot of traditions were that will never change back again, right? So that as a norm, I have seen now drastically changing. So what I saw, people were the same guys. We have seen the same renters. They actually went away home. They came back again. Before they were staying like 5 kilometers or 4 kilometers from their office. They now suddenly moved to 20 kilometers from office. After 1 year, they're again back to 5 kilometers from office. But in this whole transition, the 5 kilometer of from office, that rent has gone up by 40%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a change that we observed, and there is a lot of data around it. So what we see that is a very upcoming, and it will continue to happen, because we see a lot of people have to come back closer, because commuting times have been like really bad now.
True.
So we will see that happening a lot. So and that will give rise to a lot of co-living demand. So we see like today we are out of supply in prime areas, because the moment we so a lot of demand. So so we are not able to adhere to such kind of demand today. So that is happening because people really don't want to travel so far. And you'll be surprised the type of TG it is changing drastically. So in co-living, before it was like suppose an unmarried person who was staying, who was in higher 20s or lower 30s. Now we are seeing like couples are staying, married couples with one kid also are staying in co-living.
Okay.
So that is a trend which is very new for us. So we were even not able to understand why it was happening. Then we understood that this particular family had gone 20 kilometers. They came back. Now there is no accommodation left.
Right.
So they moved into something like this.
Okay.
So then this kind of asset class becomes a very much of the need of the hour.
True.
And because you can't build villas, you can't build houses, you can't build 3 BHK large apartments in everyone in the prime areas. So prime locations will always come with more consolidated living solutions. And that's how I see a much upward trend for co-living in the major locations of the cities.